This morning, more of our special series on toxic relationships. On Monday, we talked about the emotionally abusive and controlling partner, but those are not the only traits that rear their ugly heads in a toxic partnership. Take a listen to what some of our viewers had to say.
I became involved over 3 years ago with a man that I believe has narcissistic personality disorder.
He's critical, nasty, demanding, lazy, and downright abusive. I found my answer and my counselor agrees. He's a narcissist.
She convinced me I was worthless and that her insecurities were somehow my fault.
We've been married 33 years and he doesn't converse at all with me. If I ask him a question, he yells at me.
When he is not like this, we have an amazing relationship and function very well.
We were supposed to get married in Las Vegas last April. It did not happen. And then in October, but it never happened.
I tried to get out of the relationship several times, but she would draw me back in with her apologies, promising things would change.
Today, contributor and psychiatrist Dr. Gail Saltz is here along with Dr. Drew Pensky, as host of radio's Love Line. Good morning to both of you. Nice to see you. Gosh, you listen to that and you feel like, gee, there are a lot of unhappy people out there, and it's heartbreaking in a way because they
woefully common, too.
Really?
Terribly common, yeah.
Well, okay, well, let's maybe give some advice to people about how they can improve their relationships, because you look at that and you think if you're destined to go through life so unhappy, you know, there's got to be a better way. First of all, when it comes to some of these toxic relationships, Gail, like you're with somebody who's narcissistic, non-committal, or non-communicative, this doesn't necessarily mean they're completely unhealthy relationships, because isn't everybody a little like this?
There's a continuum. I mean, sometimes you might have somebody who's nervous about commitment. And of course, there are going to be communication struggles. It is difficult to partner with someone and always communicate well. And sometimes people are going to be in a self-centered mood. That's different from, I heard the word narcissism used, where you have somebody who really pervasively is constantly self-centered. Actually, because inside they're very insecure and they have to create around them this sort of grandiose, super special, it's all about me, and then you as the partner have to be this perfect reflection of them.
That's very
a setup for
complicated,
disaster.
a narcissist, but everybody is slightly narcissistic,
Slightly,
right?
but you as a person have to exist. And to a true narcissist, you really don't exist. Your feelings don't matter.
That's right.
And that's the real key thing in a good relationship. There has to be reciprocity. If you feel like when you say, I need something clearly, and your partner doesn't respond to that, that's a sign that there's a serious, serious problem.
If they don't have empathy, empathy is really the key. They have to be able to stand in your shoes. You need your partner always to stand in your shoes, and narcissists really don't have empathy.
Okay, well, let me ask you that question then. How do you deal with a narcissist? Let's say you're stuck married to one. How do you say, or you're in the, you know, you're...
We were talking about this because it's very difficult.
Because really, I mean...
Get out. That's the first thing.
No, because we don't want to encourage, you know, I think we want to encourage
solve
people to work on their relationship, but if you have someone who's so incredibly self-centered, is not empathic at all, and probably if you approach that person and say how you're feeling, they don't really care, right?
You know what? They are actually suffering. That's the important point. Narcissists suffer. They inside feel very inadequate.
So it's all compensatory?
It's compensatory, and if you can make them aware of their own suffering and convince them that they need help, they need treatment to be a happier person, then you have a shot.
Why do I think they won't be receptive to that?
You're absolutely right. It's hard to get somebody. They'll say it's your problem, and that's where the difficulty in all this. It is not a simple matter. How do you deal with somebody who is narcissistic? I think one of the things that you can sort of tell people is, first of all, keep your feet squarely on the ground. Know where you are and where your feelings are all the time, because narcissists will suck you into all kinds of things and make you think it's your problem.
Right.
But the reality is to maintain that boundary between you and him or her, and to realize that you have a separate set of feelings, be aware of those feelings, and express them, and keep those boundaries clear.
Can I just point out one thing, too? Since there is a broad spectrum of narcissistic behavior, it's also important not to play too much of a drugstore psychiatrist, because I think it's very easy to say, my partner's are a narcissist, therefore it's all his fault or it's all her fault, and not take a look at your own, the way you're contributing
the one
negatively
caveat
to the
here
relationship.
is you can't change other people. You might be able to move them along a little bit, but fundamentally, deeply, you cannot. You can only change yourself.
And if you are participating in it, chances are there is something in it for you.
Yes.
You're either repeating the past in some way, you need to be the victim for some reason, so you are contributing, in all likelihood, to the dynamic.
And if I could reinforce that, it's the echoes of the past that really recapitulate in the present. Somehow you were early on wired into relationships.
It's amazing how much maternal and paternal relationships play out in romantic, intimate relationships in the future, isn't it? I mean, we could do 3 hours on that.
Let's go.
We'll leave